Welcome back to Eastenders Weekly, your weekly podcast all about Downton Abbey.
Oh yeah, so I like your little jodhpurs you put on this week, just to theme it up.
Thank you. There's a terrific death scene coming up at a
is
table with lots of blood spewing everywhere.
Surely that's Game of Thrones. Enough
No.
of this, enough. It's not about Downton Abbey at all.
It isn't, it's all about Eastenders,
Ooh.
a weekly roundup. So we are talking about episodes from the 15th to the 19th of October. Big week this week.
It has been a big week, a big return,
Oh,
big,
yes.
two
big
stories,
returns.
big stories as well. Reveals, they're all over the place.
Mhm.
It's on paper, it actually seems like a really exciting week, but then when it was played out on television, I feel like it was a bit drawn out and a bit slow.
I thought it was good, mainly good.
Yeah.
We had a Robbie storyline, so that's something to look
What more
forward
can
to.
you ask for?
Which is quite funny.
In fact, Robbie was in a few storylines. He had his fingers in a few pies, so to
He
speak,
did.
this week.
I
know.
Yes, Cockney pies. But we're going to start off with the traumatic storyline of Hayley. So her baby is soon to be born, we feel.
Yes, Tiff
Feel it in the
mentioned-
waters.
If she feels it coming from the waters. Tiff mentions this week that it's soon to drop. I mean, Hayley and Kim mentions that Hayley doesn't really have much of a bump.
No, Kim's halfway gone
Yeah,
and
she's
she's
not even
double the
cooked.
size.
Yeah, exactly. She's not even cooked, and she's huge. And Hayley's still doesn't really not that
I
noticeable.
know, it's
is
weird
it?
because I'm sure they announced Kim's announcing her pregnancy seems like ages ago.
Mm.
But obviously Hayley was pregnant in Spain.
Well, she was pregnant from January.
Mm.
So as
Which her handy calendar has worked everything out
Yes.
for us. Yes, she's being a bit moody, Hayley. She doesn't want to take Lily to school. Why would she want to do that?
Jean kind of rallies up the troops and tries to get everyone in the Slater household to help out with Hayley to prepare herself for when the baby finally drops.
Yes, because she thinks Hayley's not feeling prepared for the baby. She hasn't got really a clue.
No, and also all these mentions about who the father is and Kat saying the father should have to pay for it. It's kind of spiralling Hayley into a bit of a confused fear that
And
she's
she
not
goes
gonna be...
into this state quite a few times. Well,
it's one
the
long
past few
state,
weeks,
to be honest
yeah.
with you. But this week it kind of come to head, and this was one long state of her being worried about being a mother, whether she's going to be any good, whether Kat's going to find out about Alfie being the father,
what diapers to buy.
what dummies to get.
Only goes to the Minute Mark for that.
Yeah, well,
Although for once, Honey did say, you could try another shop.
yeah, there is a
It's like,
chemist
my God,
down the road.
Honey.
But then when Hayley was a bit like, oh, I don't want to go to another shop, it's bad enough I'm here. So Honey was like, well, you could just get her these dummies. So really, she's not upselling. If Yolandi was there,
I know.
she would be fuming. You upsell, Honey.
Our older reference that we can use now, Neymar.
Yes, yes. If Neymar, who's starting her empire, was there, she should be probably putting the dummies on the front desk and saying, with the...
Eye level.
Yeah, on eye level.
Eye level to a pram.
So
We
the
also
babies can grab them.
we also had the nice introduction back to Miriam, which has been long overdue, I feel.
And Masood.
Mm.
Masood was introduced
Well,
briefly.
not so bothered about Masood.
I mean, it was nice
Miriam's
to see Masood.
nice.
He's starting a new project, which was odd to hear.
Is he?
Yeah, he's going to try to turn cooking oil into petrol, which is a thing.
Oh, for God's sake.
But
I thought that was just a joke.
No,
Oh,
because you could
God.
tell by the way he was like, "Oh, don't tell Hayley; she might want to get in on the project." he's trying to become like the
No, Ian Beale.
Ian Beale of the new Muslim Ian Beale.
Yeah. So we had lovely Miriam who saw that Hayley was in trouble in the Minute Mark, and they had like a chat on Arthur's bench.
Well, it's not Arthur's bench, is it? It's Shaquille's bench
Oh yeah, Shaquille.
or Shaft or
I'm not
Or-
doing this again.
Emil.
We're not doing this again.
Okay, sorry.
Arthur's bench. Arthur had a mention this week, so it's Arthur's bench again.
But Arthur was compared to his son, or I should say, his son was compared
His
to him.
eyes.
His eyes.
So I mean, Miriam's just been the nice, friendly neighbourhood elderly lady role, which I'm enjoying.
Spider woman, neighborhood spider girl. She makes a nice cup of chai for her, which Hayley doesn't like, but doesn't tell her that she doesn't like
No,
it.
adults have a habit of that.
Yes, but kids will tell you if they don't like
Yes.
stuff.
Because Hayley's asking her lots of questions like, how do I know if my baby's hungry? Will I be a good mum? This, that and that. And she has a nice little chat. And it's nice they're using Miriam's... Obviously, Miriam has all this training working with these difficult children. And she keeps contact with all of them. So she's almost treating the way she's talking to Hayley, she's almost treating her like she's one of her foster kids that she's giving advice to, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah, it was good. And when they were looking at the pictures on the wall, Hayley was asking direct questions about, what the problems with the children were and how it may have caused. She said that the child she's got at the moment was addicted to drugs when it was born.
Yes, good continuity.
Yes, well remembered, fighting crew.
Yeah, could only listen to rap music.
That's right. No, it was it drum and bass?
Oh, something ridiculous.
Yeah. That's a point. They don't have that playing on loop 24 hours anymore.
He's weaned off of it now, she said.
Oh, good.
See, not all babies will be affected.
So what do you think Hayley's baby's going to want to listen to when she's born? Because she's...
Eminem.
Yeah.
I bet Hayley listens to Eminem.
Yeah, because Hayley's been drinking quite regularly during her pregnancy. I mean, it's not been a good advertising campaign for, not drinking while pregnant.
No.
Hayley wouldn't be a good poster girl for that. So she's a bit worried that perhaps her baby's going to come out a little bit
Yes, because
troubled.
one of Miriam's children that she had that same issue, that the mum drank. But she said not all babies, you just don't know. So it's not going to be all babies. I mean, look at Martin.
Yes, because as you rightly said, Pauline drank and smoked throughout her pregnancy with Martin.
Lot. Yes. And he's all right, isn't he?
But Jean also echoed your point, which is that Jean said she had a few drinks as well. And that's what you did in the old days.
She said if is a very big word for 2 letters. That's the wise old words of Jean.
If ifs and ands were pots and pans, we wouldn't need a tinker then. We would not need that tinker.
Oh my God. It took us about 20 years of our life to know the end of that rhyme, and Pauline Fowler gave it to us.
Yeah.
So we're happy. So Hayley is just not sure whether she's going to be able to do this pregnancy very well, and she sort of feels everyone's fighting against her.
No, well, yeah, I think she's kind of spiraling out of control a little bit now. She's feeling confused. Obviously, drinking isn't helping her because she's constantly got a bottle in her hand when she's walking around panicked. People are kind of pulling her in one direction to the next. She's now got the fear of that she's damaged the baby's life. And Jean says, well, it's too late now. You've made your bed. You might as well sleep in it. But she's worried she's going to be a bad mother. She's worried that, as I say, Kat's going to find out who the father is.
Wow. She'd be a bit of a slip up when she was talking to Jean, because she said, I drank when I was in Spain, I drank this, I drank that, and that sort of switches a light bulb on in Jean's head, like, wait, that means you were pregnant when you were in Spain, does it?
Then that's obviously because Hayley has let out that little nugget of information too. Hayley's now panicked and storms out the house, and it doesn't return, and so Jean has a bit of time to then get that calendar off the wall.
Mo's not very helpful.
No, Mo doesn't give 2 hoots.
Mo's like, what, my calendar? And then just continues like eating chocolate wherever she's
she made a sandwich. But this is something about Mo. She spent the whole week basically not giving a monkeys about Hayley's situation, not really caring. And then at the end of the week, Mo sat at the table saying, don't worry, I'll speak to Hayley tomorrow and I'll get it out of her, what's wrong with her. It's like, well, no, Mo, you didn't care.
Well, Mo did slightly care because she was trying to get her loft installation for Hayley.
Yes, which is another point I'd like to bring up. The loft installation, you do not get a grant in cash. If you want to get a loft installation, you just get it done. You just basically call
she
a
might
company.
be wanting to sell it. She'll take it out of the walls and sell it on.
Yeah, maybe just the installation. But yeah, she kept asking the guy who was looking for. She kept saying, "Oh, Hayley's going to have a baby soon. It's going to be really cold in this house. Winter's coming. Do I get a grant?" So she's obviously planning to take the money and spend it on something else.
Jewelry.
But that's not how it works. I'm afraid, Mo. You should know better. And wall installation, she'll have a hard time trying to get that out of the blooming walls. She's going to.
So we have Jean looking through a lovely calendar of stock photos of Kat and Alfie.
Yes, I think she got it made by Photobox, or
I think she got it made by
Vistaprint,
L Street Studios at Eastenders.
I mean, the photograph was a stunning high definition photograph, almost like a publicity shot, wasn't it?
I mean, I'm amazed it didn't have like a Eastenders watermark on it.
Or no, Getty Images.
Yeah. So yeah, she counted down the months and just kind of worked out, maybe it's Alfie.
Well, she
I guess she knows it's the husband's a married man, which she knows that Kat is and stuff, and he has kids and things. So yeah, she sort of put it together and took a bit of a risk in asking Hayley directly, is it Alfie?
Yeah, because the next day when Hayley returns after drinking half a bottle of vodka, she's a bit hungover and she feels a bit and she doesn't really want to be, poked and prodded.
No, it's literally the first thing Jean does. Like, she wakes her up and goes, right, we need to talk.
Yeah.
It's like, it's right on it. I was expecting it to happen at the end of the episode.
Yeah, well, no, I'm glad, because it then created this really good scene and build-up for the next couple of days for Hayley's kind of breakdown. Jean, as you say, directly asks her, and she asks, does Alfie know? And Hayley replies, oh, no, how Alfie wanted me to get rid of it. He, gave me money to get rid of it, and he thinks it's gone. So Hayley's been spinning all these lies as well, so that must be something else that must be clicking around on her head. Hayley at no point has never kind of been very settled about having a child. She's always been very nervous or worried, and there's so many things building up now that it's obviously just this is her breakdown at this point.
It's all too much.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a great few scenes with Hayley and Jean, like there always has been throughout the year, but some really, really good ones this week with Jean, sort of showing just how amazing of an actress she is. Actually, I don't think she's ever really been given scripts like this in the past.
No,
like she's always been that sort of slightly funny character.
Well, no, when she was first introduced, she was always quite a one-sided character, where she was this woman who had depression, bipolar, and was a bit of a menace in Stacey's life. And as she's kind of come in and out, as you said, she's become more of a joke character. Like the characters to make fun of was always only Jean.
Yeah, or Sausage Surprise and stuff.
Yeah, and with Hayley, she's almost seen it as an opportunity for redemption. So she's able to become the mother that she was never to Sean and Stacey. She even says that actually in this week's episode. She says, I see you as my second chance, and all I want to do is help you, which Hayley is really grateful for at the end. But unfortunately, there's a bit of a wobble in between where Jean basically tells her to get out. She's completely devastated because she realises that this secret is going to tear the family apart. But Jean's not very good at keeping secrets. No,
she's not. That's one thing she's not good. But it's so nice because when they announced all the Slaters coming back, like they said, all Jean's coming back, and you thought, all right, that's great, Jean's back. But I don't think anyone really predicted that they'd use her like this.
Well, no, we both thought,
and they've used her really well.
Yeah, we thought Big Mo. We thought actually Cat would be utilised a lot more. And they've almost been sidelined by Jean. Jean's been really used heavily, and for me, I'm actually really pleased with that. Although it was nice seeing Kat have a few good scenes this week.
I know,
as well.
but yeah,
she
almost got there.
Yeah,
but then they shut her on the other side of the door. But we'll go into that. I mean, this is when Hayley sort of runs away. She says, "Right, I'm leaving. I'm going." So she gets another vodka bottle in a bag and is drinking it, and Keanu sees her and he's all miserable.
Well, he's a bit down because Sharon's...
He's upset because he's got his clothes on for once.
Well, also true, and he's not talking about strawberry sauce.
And yeah, they have like another chat, which is nice because they're sort of keeping their friendship going, because I like their friendship and they talk things through, but she's a bit destructive at the moment.
Well, so she's a bit sad also because she wanted obviously more with Keanu, didn't she? And she, after they had this kind of conversation, she tried to kiss him, but he's just obviously like, no. Circumstances kind of got in the way now, hasn't it? I don't think they'll be together. At least
I prefer them as just friends, though.
Yeah.
I think they suit each other. Like whenever one of them is down, they can all talk to each other or something.
I suppose they've both Keanu and Hayley have both had to be the head of the house in their respects. Like Hayley always had to be the head of the house with her mum because her mum was basically out of control on drugs, on alcohol, and Keanu had to do the same thing because his mum was a bit of a layabout, a bit lazy, and
he was like the man of the house because no dads were around.
Yeah, he was bringing them up.
And he was the oldest.
But they have a nice conversation about where Hayley kind of wishes that she didn't have this baby and starts drinking. Keanu's really angry because he says that at least she's had this opportunity to go full term with the child. His sister didn't have that luxury. Yeah,
and she said, "Oh well, your sister's lucky that she didn't have him." And this obviously triggers Keanu into thinking, right, fine, screw you. And yeah, she's sort of pushing everyone away, isn't she? I think she's on self-destruct.
When he asks her, "What do you mean by that?" Hayley says, "Well, she's lucky because she would have had a whole family behind her." And again, Hayley's now showing that she doesn't feel like she's part of the Slater family. She's, she just thinks it's just her and the baby alone. And the one ally she did have has pushed her away too, which was Jean, because Jean obviously discovered that Alfie was the baby's father. So Hayley basically wanted Keanu to know that she was lucky because he's lucky and they're lucky because they've got a family and she's got no one. She's all on her own. And so she then goes, as you say, goes home, inverted commas, back to the estate that she used to live on with her mum, and she tries phoning her mum while she's drunk on her way to the estate, stumbling, and the mum's not answering the phone. So again, the mum's just ignoring her.
Yeah, I mean, the flat she goes to is obviously where she must have grew up. Quite a horrible flat. It's kind of desolate, isn't it? I think.
But it doesn't look like
abandoned,
it's lived in at all. No, I don't think it's abandoned. I think the mum still lives there, but because she's busy, she seems to be busy, kind of just going from man to man because she's a trap, isn't she? She's a honey trap now, the mum.
Yeah.
So I suppose she probably still has the flat in her name, but it's not very lived in. And you can tell he's not lived
like
in
the
at all.
doors aren't even...
Yeah, the doors aren't even locked. I know. Well, that's made me laugh.
There's nothing inside really. So I'm guessing it's just she's not there basically. So she goes onto the balcony with her headphones, her bottle, and this is when Jean and Kat work out that she's gone because Keanu lets them know, and they run over to sort of stop her from committing suicide.
Yeah. So Kat first starts off by pleading to Hayley, and I think this must have felt like daggers in Hayley, because every single time it's just a reminder that I slept with your ex-husband. I slept with your ex-husband.
Yeah.
So
and she says to Kat, if you knew the reason I'm here, you'd want me to jump.
You'd want me to jump. And Kat looks a bit puzzled and thinks, what do you mean by that? And then Jean quickly intervenes and says, oh, no, Kat, go inside.
You're not helping.
Yeah, you're not helping. I'll sort this out. Yeah, and close the door on her. And this is where, and we posted it on Twitter, where Kat kind of watches on with her hands on the window. And she did look like a 1980s Garfield cat toy that used to stick to your car window when you were... Or I did anyway when I was younger. I was thinking about car toys. Do you remember those car toys also when they used to have the ones with the guy and you pushed like this kind of button, this kind of air-filled button, and he would pull his trousers down and then pull them back up again?
I've never heard of a car toy before.
But it was a popular thing in like the late 80s, early 90s, and people would buy... you could buy like an arm that you would basically trap like a material part at the top of the boot, in the boot. So when you closed the boot, it looked like an arm was hanging out of the boot. My family had a whale of a time with these car toys. They were great, but yeah.
You know what? We're trying to do a hard-hitting topic here of attempted suicide, and all you can talk about is car toys.
Do you know, last week all you could talk about was STDs in the over 60s population. So
STIs.
Sorry, STIs. Is that the new political correct way of saying it?
Well, it's the correct way, yes.
It used to be a disease when I was younger. What is it now? An infection now, is it?
Yes. Anyway, so we're on the edge. We're trying to talk Hayley down, and Jean's now taken over the role. And they have quite a good chat, quite a long chat. I mean, the thing that I took away from it was like the most, I don't know, it's sort of stuck in my mind, I guess, is where Hayley says, oh, how do you know, Jean? You don't know how I'm feeling. And Jean sort of tells her, well, actually, I have thought about ending my life probably 4 times, and she sort of opens up to her, which I thought was interesting for Jean to open up like that.
Yeah, I'm surprised Jean hasn't really opened up sooner. I suppose Jean's was a bit fogged with the fact that she found out about Alfie, but that was quite a recent thing. I mean, it's not uncommon knowledge. In fact, Hayley brings up that you look normal now, but how do we know?
Haven't seen you off your meds.
Yeah, if you're off your meds, you'll be nuts. And she said, well, that's not nuts. She mental.
Crazy.
Crazy.
We don't use the word crazy.
We don't use the word. And she, well, why do you use the word drunk then for me? Because it's almost a similar thing. It's something I drink is something that helps me. Well, she thinks keeps her in tune. Hayley and Jean have a really good conversation on the balcony. Hayley looks like she's about to jump, but Jean grabs her. And
I know. I don't know how they filmed this, because they did film it because they kept doing shots which panned all the way down and all the way up in one shot and things. So Casey Jarvis was actually on the edge of that balcony. High up as well.
Yeah, but I would have thought they would have put
Oh, yeah, of course. But, still, it made me feel a bit like, oh, my God. Good for her for getting her legs over there.
Could you not get your legs over the balcony?
No. And then she dropped the bottle and they sort of filmed it falling all the way down. So, it wasn't like camera trickery. Like, they didn't use green screen or anything, did they? It didn't look like it. So, yeah, good on them.
Yeah, well, they must have just had a hidden harness on her.
Still. Would you? Oh, I feel sick.
I suppose you get used to be
especially when she stood up as well when she was about to go and Jean grabbed her arm. It was like, oh my God. But yeah, she stopped her and they got her down in the end, which is good. I think it's a bit of a shame that they pushed Kat in the background a bit too quickly. She was just she hasn't been given that many opportunities since she's returned, Kat, to do some good acting, and she had a few minutes where she was getting going, and then they sort of put her in the back again.
Yeah, but Kat, you later discover, basically doesn't think Hayley is fit to look after the child and thinks she should have nothing to do with her. So I think
this was really horrible of Kat, I thought.
Yeah, it was a nasty side of Kat, really, and I don't believe that it would have been very helpful to have Kat in that scene for much longer than she was in
No.
there. At first I thought, well, they must have moved her out of the way so they could talk a bit about Alfie. But Kat obviously could hear everything because she was only on the side of a single glazed door window. So yeah, I suppose it's a bit of a shame. But to be honest with you, I prefer the scenes when it's just Jean and Hayley, because for me, Jean doesn't really. I don't think Jean cares much for the baby necessarily. It's just looking after Hayley she cares about. Hayley feels like this is her time to make amends of any problems that her mum had when
sort
she
of break
was
the cycle, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's what got her down in the end, was the thought of Jean sort of said, well, why don't you prove your mum wrong and do a good job? And that's sort of going to break that cycle, hopefully. But whether she will or not, that's the case. But yeah, Kat had a conversation with Jean, with Hayley under a duvet around the corner.
Yeah, hidden. It's like
hidden.
What's that cloak of invisibility that they have in Harry Potter?
That's what it was like, wasn't it? Because
just saw her eye.
I don't know how Kat didn't see her when she walked past her, but that's fine. We'll just do that. But yeah, she basically said, "Oh, I don't think Hayley's fit to be a mum," and obviously Hayley was listening to all of this.
Well, and also look at Hayley. Look at the kind of man she would have had to sleep with to have a to get pregnant. Yes, well, you just wait
Joke's
to see,
on you.
Kat. Yeah, we shall see.
But so yeah, that sort of again sort of pushes that point of Hayley thinking, well, I never was one of you. Kat's kind of reinforcing that again. So yeah, quite horrible of Kat that was.
But she's always had Jean on her side, and she's always had Jean rally up everyone else, get everyone on their side too. And Kat was slowly getting there.
That's what I thought. And then this seems to be a bit of a 180, I thought, like come out of nowhere.
Also,
like she was trying to beg her off of the balcony and say, we care for you. And then when she's back home, she's been really horrible. So. Also,
Stacey mentioned on her story this week that she had to get home from the pub when Martin was in the Vic because Hayley's up to trouble again, and we didn't see Stacey the whole time the scenes were happening.
She never did get there.
So it was nice that we were only talking about it this week, that they don't really kind of cross over storylines anymore. They don't introduce characters to say hello, and they have done that a few times this week. They did it, as I said, with Masood.
Oh, there's a fantastic scene with Sharon and Keanu looking out a window.
Oh,
they
yes.
cross lots of characters.
Well, but what I mean is they're introduced, not hidden in a house, doing it, but when they're introducing one another, and they did it this week. And so when Stacey said, "Oh, Hayley's up to trouble" or something,
it would be nice for her just to come through and
just being like, "Oh, what's going on? Yeah, what's happened? Just that, what's happened? Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it. Oh, okay, then I'll go check on Lily," and off she went. So they almost got it right this week.
Yeah, close.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna have a little break now and have a little look at a certain property in a brief history of Walford. Well, here we are.
Yeah. Brief history of Walford.
We're going through a black hole in space.
Yeah.
And we've ended up in Walford.
We have. But back in time in Walford too. The streets look really grubby, don't they? Look a bit messy.
Like it's made out of cardboard.
Yeah. Some of the buildings don't have any back. And there's a great big advertisement for Radio Times in the background.
Not Shaquille.
Not yet.
No. So we are looking into the history of another house on the square this week.
Yes, well, the brief history of Walford is where we look at a person, a storyline, a location on the square, on Bridge Street, somewhere in Walford. And this week, we're looking at another house on the square. But before we do, I'd just like to give a big shout out to a podcast that recently we've both been enjoying. It's called Pop Psych 101. And
how's it spelled?
It's all of it. Pop.
P-O-P.
Psych is spelled P-S-Y-C-H. 101 is spelled 101. It's a really interesting podcast where they look at the world of the mental health within a film or a TV series, and they look to see if art does play out real life in such a way that the film has portrayed a certain mental illness correctly. Wow. It's really good, and I listened to the first episode, Fight Club, and really enjoyed it, and there's a few more episodes to listen to too.
They need to look into EastEnders then, don't they? How it's portrayed.
Well, I think so. The most current episode, they look at the Silver Linings Playbook, which obviously famously has a lot of, in the book anyway, has a lot of issues about mental health, and whether the film pulls it off in quite the same standard as the book does. So definitely give it a look. Anyway, as you said, we've just been popped out of this wormhole.
Oh, we're back in time.
We're back in time.
Right.
Play with me here, Ben. Come join in with this little...
Well, speaking of psychological podcasts, we're looking into the old doctor's surgery of Walford. That's a nice little tie
That's
to the
better, isn't
thing
it?
we just plugged.
Yeah. Talking about number 1 Albert Square. And when it first started out, obviously downstairs was Dr. Legg's doctor surgery. And it actually kept as a doctor's surgery for a really, really long time.
Longer than I think it should have been.
Yeah.
Possibly.
And then there were 2... they started off as bedsits, really, didn't they? Above. There was Ethel's.
Yeah, they were like a little bit better than a bedsit, but not quite flat, I would say.
It was a bedsit with an oven in the corner.
Mm.
Yeah. There was Ethel's flat, which was the ground level.
Yeah.
And then there was Lofty's flat, which was at the top. And they basically shared it quite successfully. I mean, they all kind of cohabited together really nicely, didn't they? Like, Lofty would check in.
Yeah,
on...
because didn't Dr. Legg like rent it to them? And that's why Ethel worked for him, like cheap.
I think Ethel basically paid her way by cleaning the doctor's surgery.
Whatever help she was, bless her.
Mm.
And what a good landlord Mr. Legg is. He allows pets.
Yeah.
It's a different time.
Little Willie.
Different time back then.
As we know, that number 1 Albert Square did eventually become one house. But prior to that, as we've said, there was lots of little houses. But let's actually start from the most present then and talk about...
Oh.
I know. Talk about...
So we're back in time now, we're in present.
I know, I feel sick by travelling all this. By having a look at the house which had the most current tenants or owners, and that is the Fox Hubbards.
It is. With the lovely Claudette, who I'm not over her being axed.
Yes, well, she was a very interesting character.
Her voluptuous dresses.
She was an interesting character because she kind of trouble followed her. So there was obviously Les and...
Aunt Babe. Pam.
Yep.
Yeah. All the old ones.
All
Cora.
the old ones. But she was first introduced, obviously, to the mother of Vincent, and she had told Vincent a bit of a lie, because Vincent all this time had believed that his father had been killed by Phil Mitchell's father, Eric Mitchell. And then one fateful day, inside number 1 Albert Square, Vincent found out that Claudette had lied to him, and he was just so angry and outraged that he tried to choke Claudette. And Patrick
I love
saw
this week. It was like the first time Patrick had a storyline in like forever, and we were all shocked.
Well, Patrick, technically it wasn't Patrick.
Well, no, but like even involved in the storyline.
Yeah. Patrick was basically watching on and a bit worried and a bit scared, so went to call the police. But because Claudette was so worried that the police would delve into the history of her ex-husband's death, because Vincent might openly say something, she kind of went to grab Patrick's mobile phone, and then he retaliated and pulled away from her, and because of the angle of the way she went to grab it, she fell backwards down the stairs into the basement and hit her head on the corner.
The old doctor's surgery.
Yes.
Being remade.
Well, it just
it was like a building site, wasn't it? It wasn't quite finished.
Yeah, they kept all the bricks and all the building materials they never used to fix up stairs.
I mean, I remember when Vincent buried her.
He buried her where she laid. He buried her where she laid, and just thought nothing of it. It was like, Patrick, you know nothing. He put on his Jamaican voice.
Yeah, his angry voice.
His angry Jamaican voice.
And, I remember that because then she like appeared.
But she appeared. She reappeared.
I was so sad when I thought she was dead, though. I was quite worried. So I am thankful she rose above, dug herself out.
Yeah, she dug. Yes. Buried alive.
Don't mess with Claudette. She's on it.
I mean, Vincent couldn't have buried her that deep. It must have been like a very thin layer of stone and grit to...
She's a tough one, though, isn't she?
Maybe Vincent had planned to like maybe take a transporter in the night a bit later on. But yes, Patrick was at the hospital and spotted Claudette getting medical care because she was found a few miles down the road, passed out. Disorientated. After being hit round the head and then buried. It was a great story, though. And the last kind of big story that really happened at 1 Albert Square, because after that, obviously, Vincent...
His left it's been empty.
Well, yeah, Vincent got in debt, so couldn't pay the mortgage repayments, and Kim had to sell it up. And so Max and Rainey decided to take the vacant house and stay there, as squatters for a little time as well.
I hated that storyline. I still hate that storyline, but yeah, that was really annoying when they were homeless, but they were pretending to have a business and they were eating sandwiches and chips. They were
eating all the time, weren't they?
Fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Kim would walk in and she'd hear someone. She heard them and she thought it was Vincent, and it was really weird, and she wouldn't go in the room.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
That was never really explained either.
No.
How Kim was adamant. She was talking as if Vincent was still there, and she was adamant. She was telling people, "I've just spoken to Vincent." And they were like, "Yeah, all right then."
Yeah, it was pretty odd, wasn't it?
But Max again. So Max kind of really showing his true colours, because it was Max who was hiding and just didn't kind of really give it.
No.
monkeys about her feelings or consideration.
Yeah, so before they were in there, it was obviously flats all that time before. So we had like loads of different occupants.
Yes.
I think that's probably why they changed it from flats to a house, because they just couldn't keep filling them up.
Well, the very last occupants were basically Heather and Cora.
Cora was in there,
Yeah, so
I think, was Cora in Ethel's old one?
No, Cora was in Lofty's old one.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
It looked like Ethel's, where she decorated it.
No, Cora was in Lofty's old one, and before Cora moved in there, it was actually bought by Max Branning. Max,
of course it was.
Of course, Max. Property Brannings, they kind of intertwine. Max had bought it for Bradley and Stacey as a wedding present. Obviously, we all know what happened.
Back when Max was half thoughtful.
Well, he
was, because he was also giving himself a present.
He was, yes. I think it was more guilt-ridden than anything
present.
else. Yeah, he's probably feeling a bit more guilty because that was when the big storyline happened where it was exposed that Stacey and Max had been having this affair for a really long time. And Bradley took it really badly and basically just destroyed 1C Albert Square and gave the keys back to Max for him to basically do what he likes with it. And there's never really explained what he does with it.
They never do they really?
Because I presume he wouldn't have given it to Cora because him and Cora didn't get on very well.
They never really do explain things like that.
No.
So there hasn't been many deaths in these properties, because normally I go by how many deaths are in a property.
Yes, no.
But yeah, Heather, I guess.
Heather didn't die in this property.
She didn't. She just got hit by a frame.
No.
Oh, was that a different property?
That was a different property.
So yeah, no one's died in this flat.
No.
I'm upset.
Heather had to
Since it's a doctor's surgery, I want lots of people to die.
Heather had to move out from the flat because it was poor circulation and bad heating.
Wow.
And she couldn't live there with her newly born baby George.
It's been in the dump since the mid-80s, really, that place. So.
Well, no, it was...
That's why Vincent redid it completely.
It was done up completely when it was in the 2000s. It was just done up better when it was Vincent's home. But it wasn't even Vincent who did it up. It was done by Walford Construction. And they did it up, and Vincent bought it. Yeah, there you go. I mean, the second flat, which is the one that Ethel stayed in, after Ethel had vacated it to live in sheltered accommodation...
You don't want to just breathe on Ethel for a little bit, just a chance to talk about her. Just remember Ethel.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about Ethel. I see.
Oh, how dare you skim over Ethel, her flat?
I love it. You know, my love for Ethel is true.
She got broken into by Nick.
Well, no, that's true. So Nick.
So that's scary.
Nick. Nick.
And that was our first love of Ethel.
She actually invited Nick into the house, and then he kind of forcefully asked her for money.
Yeah, I mean, she pushed him over.
She kicked him.
Pushed
over,
a lamp on him.
Yeah. She was proper karate style. Yeah. So but that wasn't the only time when she'd been visited by Nick. Because Nick then visited her again to apologise, but again it was because he knew that Ethel was the link to the square to make people forgive him and maybe sympathise with him a bit more after his stint in prison for the supposed murder of Reg Cox, which he said he was innocent for.
And I'm assuming, I haven't done my research properly for this, but I'm assuming there could have been a second death in the flat, which could be Little Willie. He may have passed away in the flat.
I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure.
We'll go with it. I'm sure she'd want him to be at home.
I think Ethel's Willie does die, but I don't think it's until the 90s. Because Grant and Phil buy her a new dog.
Yeah, and she doesn't want it.
Yeah, and so Grant and Phil weren't introduced until
she takes him to the old
90s.
People's Home then.
He does die sheltered accommodation. Yes. Thank you. We live in a PC age.
We do.
So but Ethel would always have people around her house. She'd have Dot round. She'd have Lofty round all the time.
Lou never really popped over. They always went to Lou.
Well, Lou had her angina attack, didn't she? Then that was the end of that.
Like Ted.
Yeah, Lou wasn't able to
Not
visit.
quite the same legacy character, I don't feel. He'll leave behind.
Who, Ted?
Lou did. Yeah.
No. He doesn't have the impact, the punch that Lou had. Lofty used to take advantage of Ethel as well. He used to make her kind of do his washing for him.
No, she took advantage of him too. So
that's true.
Bit of love.
She made him knit a Willie jumper for Christmas. And
we also obviously have Dr. Legg returning this week. So we've cleverly tied this in with the doctor's
because this is where the doctor's office
was.
We're
clever like that.
That's right.
So a few things that have gone in the doctor's office then, a few storylines that have happened in there.
So that's in the basement where Claudette was buried. I mean,
do you remember when that happened and on Twitter people posted like a photo of someone buried but their boobs like poking out still? And they said that's how they buried Claudette.
Yes, I do remember that. That was good. They were the days. That was the heady days of EastEnders, wasn't it?
Yes. So Dr. Legg's surgery, he's had a few bombshells. Obviously our lovely Martin we found out that Pauline was pregnant in his office in the first episode 1.
Scene 2.
Yeah.
It was the second ever scene that Pauline was in there, and they were saying, "Oh, everyone who went into the office was saying, what are you doing here, Pauline?"
Yeah.
Doctor-patient confidentiality didn't really count on the square at that point.
We had the big storyline of Kathy gets a storyline. She hasn't had one since.
These are the days when Kathy used to get a bit of, a bone thrown at her every now and then.
Where Nick broke into the doctor's office and he looked through, he saw her like confidential files and knew that she had a baby before marriage.
Yes.
So a lot of things have happened in this office. And then obviously Dr. Legg does leave and new doctors replace him.
Yes, well, before that then, so we in the flat that Ethel lived in before she moved out, then the middle flat, the 1B flat, became almost like the doctor's residency flat. So in the first time, it was Dr. Legg who lived in that flat. His nephew. He lived there with his nephew. He moved down from Islington to do that. But then after his retirement, a new doctor came in, which was Dr. Fred Fonseca. I'm probably pronouncing that badly. But he was gay, and he lived in there with his best friend Mick McFarlane, who didn't know he was gay. And when he eventually outed himself to his friend Mick was like, "I don't care, you're gay. I'm more upset that you don't fancy me." So I thought
modern.
I know. I thought that was really nice. He was played by Jimmy Mystery as well, who you might know. This is the Doctor, who you might know. He's done a few films. He's quite well known, famous Hollywood type.
I have to look into. I don't remember these two characters.
Yeah,
I've thought some clips.
They go to Brighton as well. This is another occasion when they went on location.
Another holiday.
I know.
Go back a few episodes. We've already talked about these.
We haven't been location for these for ages, have we?
No.
And then a third doctor decided to move into those flats and start practicing too. And this was quite a well-known,
the crazy one.
Yes, May Wright. This is the quite famous storyline where her husband and her were trying to have a baby. Then they had a short separation. He sleeps with Dawn Swan, and then Dawn ends up being pregnant with her husband's baby, and she basically desperately wants the baby.
She's the one she puts gas on and stuff and tries to
This is where it
blow
climaxed. but that's how it ended. But there was I forgot about this. There was a story where Dr. May convinced Dawn to basically visit her, and she handcuffed her to a bed and then tried to perform a cesarean section on Dawn so she could steal the baby. I mean,
she really was crazy, May, wasn't she?
She was insane. Well, she did blow up a house with her in it when the gas ovens left on. But that's a really mad storyline. I had completely forgot that storyline had happened.
Very dark.
Until I
dark
looked
times.
into it.
So it's had quite a history, that building, as all the buildings.
Yes, it has. But number 1 Albert Square has now got to find a new family for it to live in. I mean, they've turned so many houses into flats. Do you think they'll turn number 1 back into a flat
I
again?
don't know.
I hope they don't, because it's nice to have an actual house.
Yeah. Also, there's so many buildings that are empty at the moment in Walford. They need to repopulate.
I mean, there's those houses. I still haven't worked out. Those houses are where round the back of the pub near the community centre.
The one that Ali and Sue end up renting.
Yeah.
And who Neymar used to rent. And it's a really good set as well. But I did read somewhere that someone suggested it might have been Donna's flat, but I can't find any evidence.
Anyway,
they're upstairs, but
that's for another day. That's for another brief history in Walford.
So that's us covered number 1 Albert Square.
Yeah, if you guys have any memories of number 1 Albert Square or anything in Walford you'd like us to cover, then please feel free to throw us any suggestions. We love getting your emails. We read them all the time. And do throw us any suggestions that you may have for any of the sections of the show, even if they're brand new ideas.
Or if we got anything wrong, like Willie dying, for example.
That's right.
Let us know.
But yes, do let us know, and we'll always correct ourselves at the beginning of every show with a sorry.
So there you go. That's history lesson over.
There we go.
Welcome back to 2018.
Yeah, with a wormhole we've discussed earlier in the feature.
We've done this so cleverly because we've just been talking about Dr. Legg's surgery.
It's like we planned it.
And there's some characters coming back. So get ready, everyone, because Dot's back. She's got a new wig. She's got a new wardrobe. Her nails are done.
New lighter for her fags.
She's lost a little bit of weight.
A little bit. She's quite gaunt.
Well, she was on 100 Years Younger. They kept telling her then she needs to put on weight, didn't they?
That's true. Well,
but she has no appetite, she says, June.
Oh, doesn't she?
Mm.
But it was echoed by a certain second character who returned.
Yes.
This is where the clever link comes in.
Yes.
Because
Who's going to say it?
wait, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to say he used to live at the aforementioned house that we had a little chat about. So it could be one of many people. But which one? Yeah. Heather's back from the grave. It is Halloween coming. Zombie Heather.
They should do a special like Emmerdale did.
Oh, no, they shouldn't do it.
The zombie one.
The zombie special.
Anyway, so Dot is back, which is fun.
Yes.
Fun for everyone.
And she comes back with Dr. Legg.
We are announcing it then.
We are announcing
I
it
thought you were keeping
now.
it secret,
Oh,
even
it's
though
not
everyone
much.
knows.
I think most people who listen to this know, I was going to say. So
Well, we did
they're
say it
both-
last week, so that's fine.
Oh, and also true. And we've just talked about it for the last 15 minutes on a feature before. So none of this is a surprise to anyone.
Yes, well, they're back.
Dr. and Dr. Legg are back.
Sonia's upset because that means her house is now
But it's
back
not
to Dot.
her house.
Well, she thinks it is. It's like when Dot's back and she's unpacking. Dot's like, why are you unpacking my stuff down here?
Yeah.
She's like, I'll talk to you about that, Dot.
Yeah, and then every time...
Bex has moved in.
Yeah, every
Robbie's
time there's an
moved in.
opportunity to talk about something, like something would interrupt them,
Yeah.
like Bex or Robbie. So yeah, she's back from... Well, we've found out where Dot's been all this time.
She has been in. We thought she was,
Well,
but there was rumour...
Well, we've said all kinds of things. We said she was at the church doing flower arranging.
No, we
lighting
didn't say that. The
candles.
characters said that.
Oh, we were saying it too.
I know.
We were just
so we
echoing
thought
what they were
she'd
saying.
come back from Ireland and she was just off screen.
At one point, we said that she was upstairs having a headache.
Well, sometimes she was. So I don't quite understand. But anyway, she's back, so that's all we matter.
She's back from Ireland.
She's got a new weave and it's all good.
She went to see Charlie, and she was looking after Matthew, but he's 4 now. Matthew is 4, and he's now ready to go to school. So Dot's no longer needed out there to look after Matthew.
Poor Dot, babysitting
She was
at
literally
90.
used for as a babysitter, wasn't
At
she?
92.
Yeah.
Yeah, very horrible. But she's come back with the news. I liked her little recap of what she's missed as well with Sonia. Are you with men or women? I can't keep up.
Yes. She said
I'm not
that. I
one
can't
to
keep up with
judge.
that. She also thinks that Jack... Well, Sonia also thinks that Jack and Mel are an item.
I know,
Which
Sonia.
surprised me. I thought Sonia had her ear to the ground. I thought she knew everything that happened in
No,
Walford.
she's letting it all slip. Mrs. Murray next door's gone.
Yes, she was most upset about that.
Shaquille. She says Shaquille really weird. Do you notice that? How
No.
she says Shaquille?
No, I didn't.
I can't even remember, but it's like Shackle or something. Like
Shackle.
Shackle. Poor Shackle. She says it really weird, June Brown.
Shackle. Maybe it should be...
Shackle. She says it
Shackle.
really weird. You have to rewatch it and listen to how she says Shaquille.
Shackle.
But she mentions him.
Half-cool's bench.
She mentions Melanie and how she lost poor Steve.
Well, yes.
And how everyone comes back here in the end.
Yeah, everyone comes back in
That's
the
the
end.
line from the trailer. Ding.
Yeah.
Another tick.
Quite a lot of the trailers
I
happened.
know.
But they've well, again, we'll talk about this at the end of the show, but there was a new trailer out this week as well, wasn't there? Halloween week.
Halloween week.
I love that they theme the weeks now.
I love it.
So Dot is saying that she's feeling not 100%, a bit under the weather. So
What's new?
Yeah. So
Nothing changes.
so Sonia offers to give her a bit of a medical, which basically was her taking her blood pressure.
Yeah. And her heart rate.
I'm just going to do a medical on you. Oh dear, it's a bit high.
No,
Dot.
Sonia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sonia suggests maybe go see a doctor.
Yeah.
So
Which
Dot tries to call a doctor.
Dot's
but
up for it, but she can't work out an automated system.
One or two,
Press what?
two,
Press
one.
1, beep. Press 2, beep. And then she says a really odd word, like shambles. She doesn't...
Shaquille. I'm sure. Do you think when she kept having those like shots when they were filming with Jack and things, were they real shots? Do you think? Because halfway through the scene with Jack, Dot's like slurring her words like
is
she's
she?
drunk, and like it doesn't look fake. It looks real.
I
And
mean,
she's
she's-
like, oh.
June Brown really is a force of her own, really, isn't she? She kind of just does what she
yeah.
likes.
So I bet they were real shots, and they had like loads of takes because it was with Jack, and he kept getting his lines wrong.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise
So
me
they
at
kept
all.
having real shots because she was quite like drunk like halfway through that scene.
Now, I have a few issues with Jack, as I do most.
Are we skipping to Jack already? Let me just quickly say
Okay,
it's
okay.
also Robbie's birthday. No one really cares, but they're doing a party.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
this kind of
that's
coincides
it.
with the whole story. Yes, thank
Next.
you. Yeah. So Jack, let me just have a look. So Jack visits Dot because Jack is basically the only relative linked to...
Jim, apart
Jim.
from Max.
Yeah, but Max don't give him two.
No.
He's busy doing his own thing with Rainey. Nice to see Rainey this week as well. Again.
Jack, you see, I've come back here because I'm dying.
Yes.
That's another line from the trailer, just so everyone knows.
So
Misleading lines.
So Jack basically visits and he performs his classic unsympathetic cardboard acting. So June would be like, "Oh, I've been quite unwell." "What do you mean, Dot?" "Well, I've been quite sick." "How you mean sick, Dot?" So, Jack. And Jack basically, as he always does, buys his way to love and affection and gets Dot a private examination on the health service.
Throw money at it.
Yes, well, that's what he does for everything. If there's a problem, throw money at it. That's what Mel does. There's a problem, throw money at Jack. It's like a circle of cash. So, yeah.
I still find it funny / quite good how much Jack is starting to look like Jim.
He really is.
He did like a funny like half smile, frowny face, like gummy smile thing. And it looked like the actor who played Jim, his dad, in the show. So that's kind of good casting, I guess.
He's got the same pointy out ears as well. He's got the same pointy out ears and the same kind of dumbfounded look when like something of importance happens around him. Like he just doesn't understand the world around him.
And Dot mentions Jim when Jack comes to visit, so that's nice.
Well, that's what I mean. It's her only link to the
And
Brannings.
also, Sonia unpacked a photo of Fat Boy that Dot carries around with her in a frame. So that's nice as well.
I miss
nice little references. Jack sort of gives Dot the idea of maybe seeing a doctor. So she gets out her old address book, which is like...
But have you never seen those address books before? Again, it's a remnants of the night. This was really a throwback to my childhood this week. So the car toys and then these diaries. My dad used to have one of these diaries. And you kind of go click, 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 click,
I've
click.
never seen that.
Yeah, but it's really clever because when you get to the letter, you press this kind of like big button at the bottom and it basically springs open straight to the letter. So a clip kind of clicks over all the different letters beforehand and brings it up. So L down to L.
L to L.
No, would it be L for Legg or H for Harold? Or D for Doctor?
Surname Legg.
Do you reckon
she went to L, yeah.
Yeah, but some people don't do it by surname. Some people do it by forename.
Or Dot will because she's proper.
I don't know. I don't.
Anyway, she got the address.
Yes.
So that's all that
It
matters.
was definitely past D, so it wouldn't have been...
And she visits Dr. Legg and he says, hello, Dot.
Oh, that was lovely. I love that
his
scene.
wheelchair and his little wave.
Yeah, so...
he was all smiley and happy.
Yeah. Did you not think that Dr. Legg looked a bit like the male Wonga puppet? So yeah, he reminded me of him. It was a lovely though, wasn't it? It was a really nice because that was really just the scene that on Thursday for them too. It was just Dot
nice.
Dot looked a bit upset. No one was answering the door. I mean, give Dr. Legg a chance.
I know.
Surely
she rang the doorbell like he's not in. I'm going.
Yeah. Oh, I've rung it once. No,
poor Dr. Legg. Yeah. So yeah, he invited her in, and they had some more shots.
Yes.
He basically said the doctors. Sad news, but the doctors know what they're talking about, Dot. Yes. So you are well, you're just a little bit underweight.
Yeah, maybe have a glass of milk with your meal, which I just have to say, I do. So maybe I should be.
I saw on Twitter someone, an account, a vegan account, posted how awful it was that Dr. Legg said that and how that will kill Dot because milk shouldn't be used.
Doesn't have to be.
And say go vegan.
He didn't specifically say dairy milk. He could have been any milk. Could be soy milk.
So I didn't even bother saying that tweet because I thought it was ridiculous. But I just want everyone to know that someone said that.
I mean, it's just a vegan wanting everyone to know they're vegan, isn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah. Sorry to any vegans listening.
So he said, I'm going to prescribe us a little tonic. And they had some shots and they sort of reminisced about the square and how all the old faces are there. Same old problems, new faces. And things.
Then, so we have to quickly go back to the Vic because while this is all happening, Sonia has organised a banging party at the Vic for Robbie. Ted would turn up to anything as long as he knew there was a free food buffet.
And Karen sent Keegan over to pick up some sandwiches and stuff.
So Keanu was
free.
at the pub as well. So anyone, basically people who turned up there, in fact no one, let's be honest, for Robbie, no one turned up to Robbie's birthday. Donna was unlikely to turn up, but at least the market traders could have turned up.
Yeah, Shrimpy wasn't even there.
I mean, Shrimpy normally turns up for a need.
Tamwa could have FaceTimed.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, poor Robbie. Can you believe he's 40?
No, I really can't.
He's like a 12-year-old boy, mentally.
Well, he bumps into a 52-year-old cougar, as it's been described by Louise.
It's funny how Louise says that's a cougar when she's also blackmailing Sharon, who's more of a cougar.
We don't know Louise is blackmailing Sharon.
I'm just assuming it is.
Yeah, and also you're jumping the gun because we're not even on Sheanu yet.
But yeah, this whole Robbie cougar thing was really disgusting. And they sort of ended up in the cellar together.
Yes, in the barrel store.
Can I just ask? I know this is disgusting, so I might cut it out. But when they were in the cellar, they were obviously having sex, I'm assuming, right?
I presume so.
Her tights were still on.
Well, the only item of clothing that was missing was Robbie's shirt. So do you think Robbie was like showing off his glistening muscles? Like got some like syrup or something and just kind of put it over his chest?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's just disgusting. But that was Robbie's story.
Well, that was Robbie's story. Well, it's nice that Robbie got something for his 40th birthday, but he got damn all else, didn't he, really? Sonia, like, his party was a bit of an afterthought, and that was after he complained because there was no bread in the house. So it was nice that Robbie had a story, and also nice that Robbie got his...
Well, Dot
way.
invites some guests over, because she
invites a guest.
Yeah, she asked Dr. Legg, do you want to come over and see some more old faces?
And he's a bit hesitant to begin with. He does his Wonga, whoa. But he agrees, and he goes visits, and... yeah, everyone's like really happy to see him. So Sonia's like, "Oh, do you remember Sonia? Oh yeah, I remember Dr. Legg. Hello, Sonia. How are you?" Then Martin's over.
really mean to him.
Well, Martin's got a lot of troubles on his mind.
But it's really horrible.
But it was a bit offish.
Because even Dr. Legg went, "Oh, oh, okay."
Yeah, he went over. He kind of strut over, didn't he? Kind of trying to act all moody,
shakes his hand,
cool, and
Dr. Legg says, "So who does he look more like, Arthur or Pauline?"
He's got Arthur's eyes.
Yeah, you have to watch out. I don't know what that meant.
No, he then said that he looks a lot like his father, to keep an eye on him, because Arthur was a bit of a troubled soul, wasn't he?
He had an affair.
Well, not just that, he had mental breakdown.
Oh, is that what Dr. Legg? I thought Dr. Legg meant
it could be anything.
Watch out for him.
But Arthur was always seen as the kind of like the rogue one. Pauline was the very straight, knew exactly what she wanted, told people what she wanted, kind of kept things in control.
Arthur was the rogue one. God, that must be Pauline must be very straight for Arthur to be the rogue one.
But from watching the older episodes, Arthur is always the one who's kind of like, oh, I'm going to go out when there's any trouble in the house or anything like that. And so Martin is a bit like that, I guess.
Yeah. I was a bit sad. I'm assuming Dr. Legg's in it next week as well. I hope that's not all we have of Dr. Legg.
Well, I'm presuming then we've got because this is where Dr. Legg announces to Dot that he's dying. So we found out that Dr.
He's
Legg
been seeing lots of doctors recently.
He has. So I'm presuming now for the next week or so, it's just going to be the storyline.
The end storyline for him.
I mean,
but I want them to have Kathy, because she's an original, so she'll know Dr. Legg.
And Ian.
And they were quite close. Yeah, and Ian, but they weren't at Robbie's party, so they didn't see him.
No one went to Robbie's party.
I thought it was a bit of a shame. Louise saw him, and Louise didn't even know who he is. Or Sharon. Sharon didn't even interact with him.
Sharon had gone at this point.
So I'm also fine. I'll talk about that on Ruby one, but Sharon hasn't interacted with Ruby, which is annoying as well. Ruby's dad killed Dennis. Well, it was involved. You would have thought there would be some sort of
but
convo.
That's not Ruby's fault, is it?
Yeah, Ruby.
I suppose that could be something. Oh, anyway, we'll talk about that with Sheanu a bit
later
on.
Well, I'm assuming that Dr. Legg's going to have his ending storyline in the next few weeks, I suppose, leading up to Christmas, I guess.
Yeah, so we know that Dot has a history of basically killing people off. She's done it with Ethel.
No, that's not going to happen.
And she's done it with her son, Nick. So do you think this might be another...
No, Dr. Legg wouldn't do that, I don't think. I think he'll come back to say like his goodbyes and then he'll just die naturally. I don't think they'll do that.
You don't think he's going to die on screen?
He might die on screen, but I don't know. He can't die in the square, can he?
Well, he could die. Well, he could die on the programme. So
on the programme he would, but I'm assuming he'll just come back, maybe visit a few locations like the cafe or something, and then they'll have their goodbyes and maybe Dot will be with him. But I don't think it won't be another euthanasia storyline.
No. He could die in the basement of number 1 Albert Square and be buried where he died. A bit like Claudette, as we mentioned earlier. Why?
Because that's mean.
That's not mean. He might want that. This is where he started. It's like his genesis.
Yeah, but that's an apartment. You can't bury someone in an apartment.
Why can't you?
Because you can't. It's not allowed. I want them to mention Ethel as well. I'm holding out hope.
Yeah, it's
they mentioned Pauline and mentioned Arthur. That he needs to find out that Kathy's back from the dead.
I mean, I know that's gonna be his final strike, isn't it? We discussed. This
he
already.
sees Kathy as a heart attack. That's how he dies.
Kathy.
But yeah, it was lovely to see Dot back. It was lovely to see Dr. Legg. It was nice, and it was just nice having those scenes where they were just sat talking, because they never do those sort of scenes anymore, and they were really good.
No, you're right. These are the scenes that you've been talking about for a while. That it'd be nice to have two older characters kind of look on the square and have a musings about it.
Yeah, so I've just got a few tweets. Got one from Steffi Stories.
Ooh.
I'm assuming she writes stories.
And her name's Steffi.
She said, Dr. Legg and Dot on EastEnders. What a great idea to have him back. Amanda says, EastEnders.
Very short story.
Please.
For someone who writes stories, that was a very brief tweet.
Please note that a lot of us would be happy with just a little gentle scenes like the one Dr. Legg and Dot had, rather than ridiculous tick-the-box issue storylines.
Oh.
AKA Ruby. It's about characters and acting that makes the soap great. and make people care. Not shocking storyline after shocking storyline.
To be fair, I do agree with that. It's characters that make soaps work. And that's actually, now that's been brought up, that's something EastEnders seems to be lacking. Characters.
Big time.
Yeah.
And Mark says, how amazing and sweet was that reunion between Dot and Dr. Legg? All that nostalgic history right on screen. So yes, lots of love for Dot and Dr. Legg.
Good,
which is nice.
good. But moving on.
And Dave the cat.
Dave the cat had his own meme this week. His eyes glowed yellow, and it's very good.
Halloween's coming.
It is Halloween week. So we're moving on then to the storyline of Ruby and her Ruby slipper promotions.
She got so upset by this Facebook. She's staying at Stacey's again. Someone else staying there. She's having showers there.
She's sleeping where Hayley sleeps. So now Hayley's sleeping with Big Mo in the same bed. I mean, we questioned how many people can you fit in that house.
Halfway staying over sometimes as well with Whitney.
Apparently, you can now fit one more. It's beginning to get a bit
stupid. This Ruby storyline is just. I hate it because it's the type of storyline. Because it's such a serious storyline. It's really hard to be like. To say I don't like it because you sort of
do you not
feel
like
bad.
It?
No.
Oh, I don't.
Some of it.
How bizarre.
The best bit of it was last week Tuesday when they did the whole episode just about them. That was really good. But then this week it's just like Ruby is just awful. I disagree.
I actually think Louisa is doing a really good job.
No, she is doing a good job, but the actual character is horrible.
Ruby. Okay.
Like coming on to Billy and stuff, and it's just like. And she's like, "Oh, does it matter? I'm a slut, so I might as well." And it's like, what are you going on about?
But then I think there's a reason for that. Is because she feels so demoralised and so worthless that she just thinks, "Well, what's it matter if these people on Facebook have tweeted on my business page?"
Oh yeah, she got really upset about this, and I thought, well, what is it? All they said is slut.
I know. I mean, yeah, you've posted, or I've posted something on Facebook myself, or as
I know. She got really upset by this, Weekly, but it's just people, like one thing.
Yeah, and people write stupid replies. You just kind of go, okay, delete, done.
I mean, yeah, Ruby Slipper Promotions.
That's her company. That's her.
I looked on Facebook to see if it was like a real page, but it wasn't.
And BBC missed a trick there. They should have made a page.
And
maybe you should buy the domain and make a page.
Oh, shall I?
Yeah.
So she posted checking out E20 Club tonight. Might be useful for the future. Well, what does that mean? What's she doing for the future?
Well, promotions.
Is she going to buy it off Sharon? Is she actually going to do a promotion?
Well, yes.
Is she?
Probably, because that's her business.
Megan commented saying, I've been there.
Yes. Megan.
That's very helpful, Megan. Thanks. Amy says, love the cocktails. And Dave says, slut.
I'd love to know how many people actually like the Ruby Slipper promotion page.
I know. 2.
Yeah.
Dave and Ruby.
yeah. And Ruby's made a second account.
I mean,
so
who is Megan and Amy? Are they people that have used Ruby Slipper Productions, or are they friends of Ruby's?
They're probably people who just follow her page and been to some of her productions.
Yeah, but are they friends of hers? Because she could always talk to Megan and Amy rather than Stacey about her problems.
I don't think Megan's her friend. Anyone on Facebook isn't your friend. They're faceless.
That's true. Stacey wasn't even friends with Ruby, was she?
She's not friends with her on Facebook. Because if Stacey was friends with Ruby on Facebook, she would have seen that. She would have seen that on her wall, couldn't she? And especially if she followed Ruby Slipper Promotions. So it was a big surprise to Stacey to see this.
Ruby Slipper Promotions.
It was a big surprise.
Anyway, off topic. She was very upset by this comment that was on there saying slut from Dave. Who's Dave?
The cat.
Maybe. Dave the cat. So Stacey and Martin have more comments like, oh, how can your friends put this on there? This is what they think of her. She's just a slut, blah, blah, blah. And there's lots of like to and throwing this week about who's right, who's wrong.
But this is it. This is, again, it's going back to where is the consent okay? Where does it begin? Where does it end? And it basically, Robbie or Kush has got a picture of Martin kissing Matt.
Yeah.
And Martin basically shows Stacey, and Stacey's kind of shows it to Ruby, and Ruby's
just like, yeah, what about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, well, yes, I did kiss him. Yes, I did play them off one another, but that doesn't mean that I
Haven't we all?
Yeah, but she quite rightly said, but that doesn't mean that I gave them consent later on to do what they did. Matt still raped me. And was the other guy Ross?
Yeah.
Ross, yes, okay, I played because Ross is fit. You know, wouldn't you? Ross is fit. So, you know, she let Ross, it sounds really bad, but she let Ross have sex with her because she felt like she owed him that, but she never really owed Matt that.
No.
So she felt like the consent had ended after Ross had sex with her.
Yeah.
So again, it's
also
tricky.
The other thing that confused me is that when Stacey saw this picture, she like went, right, Rube, come back home. You're meant to tell me everything. What is this? So I thought, oh, so Stacey doesn't believe her now. But then like the next scene in the kitchen with Martin, she's like, that picture doesn't mean anything. Why do you think that to Martin? It's like, what? I don't know. It's really hard to keep track of what Stacey is thinking.
Yeah, and what Martin's thinking, because Martin, when
or what Ruby's thinking.
Yeah, quite. Because Ruby then goes to the police station because she's already been to the clinic where they've got the evidence.
Also, she also tries to seduce Billy before this as well.
Yes, sorry.
Which is just,
which is what we mentioned at the beginning.
I hated it.
Well, again, this is when she was at her low. This is when she found the Facebook comment and thought, well, if people believe that's what I am, I might as well fulfill this.
I don't think that's something that how someone would react.
I don't know. You don't know how. But then Ruby even says that later on in the week, Ruby says to Martin when she buys him a drink, you think that if you've been raped, you're going to react by screaming and shouting and getting upset and this and the other. And I've reacted in a much different way, which is probably why you think that maybe I'm not telling the truth, but I am telling the truth.
Yeah, but that's the same thing that Stacey talks to Ruby in E20 and she tells her about Archie. That's like the exact same thing that Stacey said to Ruby, and then Ruby then says that to Martin about herself.
Right. But I mean, Stacey reacted when she was raped in the ultimate way, which is by killing the man.
I found that line. She was Ruby was like, "Oh my god, you should have told me. I should have been here for you.
Yeah.
How did you react?" She went, "I just reacted badly."
Yeah, I know, quite badly.
You murdered her.
Well, you murdered the man, and then your boyfriend your husband committed suicide, so it made out that
and let him take the rap for it.
Take the rap for it. Yeah, I know.
But that made me laugh. I mean, should we just go on to the police interview? Because I thought that was quite interesting. Because Stacey is now giving her witness statement, and she's taken Martin with her.
Yes.
And she doesn't want Martin to show the police the photo of Ruby in case it incriminates her.
That's right. So if you look at this, they filmed it again very similar to when they filmed the Stuart shooting, and that is that they filmed them almost coinciding one another, and he kind of made out that they were being interviewed at the same time, where they kept flicking from one shot to the next.
So the same questions but different answers.
Yeah.
So I've written as much as I can down. I'm guessing you've done the same.
Well, no, I haven't actually. I've just written how I, from a viewer, saw how their answers were perceived, how they wanted their review of the night being perceived by the police. But go on, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because Stacey says she sees Ruby like a sister. I mean, really? It's been 12 years, Stace. And then Martin says they haven't seen each other in years. So that's his reply to the same question. And then Stacey says Ruby, they're all buying Ruby shots. They're all competing for her. She fancied Ross, but just being friendly to Matt.
Yeah.
And then Martin says it's just a normal night out. Everyone was buying drinks. Ruby was flirting with everyone.
The shots thing, sorry to interrupt, the shots thing is something they actually mentioned on the night. Remember rightly, the shots, Mel came over and was like, all right, here's some shots. And and everyone said, oh, Ruby, you shouldn't have bought them. And Ruby actually said, no, I didn't buy these. It must have been Matt. And then later when Stacey and Ruby were in the corner and they were contemplating whether to get a bit messy that evening, because Ruby said, I won't drink if you don't drink, and Stacey said, well, bugger that, I'm going to drink. Then they take the shot, and again she repeats, I didn't buy these shots, Matt did. So that's interesting. Obviously Martin must have thought that Ruby had bought the drinks.
Bought the shots, but she didn't.
Yeah, but she hadn't.
Yeah, and the other one was Martin said Ruby isn't shy, and then Stacey said Ruby's really shy.
Yeah. But this is what I mean. This is where from outside looking on, you can see that Stacey was putting across quite a biased personal account of the night. So she wasn't giving facts, she was giving opinion, while Martin was giving more of a realistic statement. And by doing that, they were conflicting. But Martin does say that they were laughing and boasting about having sex with Ruby. And when the police officer asked, well, were they consenting? Martin was a bit like, well, I don't know. It's not something I would do. No. So he doesn't really give a definitive answer.
But he says they were acting normal. They weren't suspicious or
for
hiding.
them. It was normal. It was like a normal night, because obviously Martin's known them for years, and Martin knows exactly what the lads are like. You know, so he thought that was just a normal night out for them.
And the policeman sort of ends it by thinking Martin's not quite telling him something. So he says, if you don't, you could be
contempt.
So Martin then obviously shows them the photo, but he doesn't tell Stacey he's done this.
But then later, after they've had their witness statements taken, Martin then goes back to the house and he's stopped by Ross, and Ross is, because obviously Ross has been questioned perhaps by the police already as well. And Ross is a bit panicked and shows Martin a text message that Ruby had
sent,
the
next day,
which was a reply to Ross. So Ross asked Ruby, "Are you okay?" And Ruby replied, "Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, all okay.
All okay.
Kiss.
Might see you again.
Like
might see you again another time."
Yeah.
I mean, Martin quite rightly said this doesn't really prove anything, because it doesn't. Because I've had people message me before who I don't particularly want to reply to, or I don't care much for, so I just politely say, "Oh yeah, cheers," and then just.
I suppose in his eyes, though, he's thought, well, I'm assuming the next morning Ruby woke up and just got out of there without seeing anyone. So maybe he woke up and thought, "Oh, Ruby's not here. I'll text her. Are you okay?"
Yeah, they mentioned
from
that
his
actually.
side of things. I mean,
again, exactly. And last week they mentioned that because they said, "Oh, Ruby left a bit early." When they were at the tube station kicking a football about. I don't know. It's weird. Did he ask if she's okay because it was a genuine concern that she was all right, or was it just to kind of lay the groundwork of nothing? Just so you know, Ruby, nothing happened. Whatever you think happened.
Well, I don't think
happened.
the guys think anything did happen. In their heads, I don't know.
I mean, a lot of the week, the Ross kept saying that it's just what we do. Women are just as bad as men nowadays. Turn on the TV, listen to, put your head out the window. Women are just as loose, if you want to use a term, as men have always been perceived to be. Men have always been the ones who kind of sleep about, and now women are
the new normal.
Yeah, but all boils down to, and it annoys me a little bit that EastEnders aren't using this word or this term more, and that is, it boils down to consent. When was Ruby's consent given, if at all? I mean, by kissing someone in the club, that's not saying automatically, yeah, that means we're going to go back to yours tonight and have sex. That's not an automatic ticket to sex. It's just it's flirt, and especially if you've had a few drinks and you've got it's knowing where the line is drawn. And EastEnders, I wish EastEnders would use that term more often. Consent. That's what's being argued in this case.
Yeah, but it seems to be slowly turning not about consent, but more about rape. But like, we were under the impression this was just a consent. I don't know. It's like, is there a difference between consent and rape? It's a tricky thing.
But it is, because if you don't give consent, obviously, then you've raped someone. Rape is such a harsh word, though, isn't it? Such a poignant word to say rape, and to kind of not water it down, but just to kind of make it a bit more digestible of why we're meant to be understanding Martin's turmoil and Stacey's turmoil and Ruby's turmoil. And it's
a bit unfair of Stacey. She keeps going, you need to trust Ruby, but all she's doing is believing her friends. So why is he not allowed to believe his friends? They haven't seen each other in the same amount of time. Yeah,
I agree with you. Stacey shouldn't be pushing her opinion onto Martin. It should be an unbiased view.
Yeah. She's a bit snappy. So the last thing is Ruby wants to buy Martin a drink in the Vic to say thank you for going to the police and believing me.
Yeah, she said, I'm surprised how strong shots are in actual real pubs.
I know, that's weird.
Events organiser?
I know. All she does is drink. All she's doing is drinking all the time.
She
did her camel thing again with her champagne flute.
Well, I say camel. I think giraffe is a better term. I was thinking about it. I was watching giraffe videos, like you do, and the giraffes do that when they're trying to get leaves from the top of the trees. That's what she's doing.
And she says, Stacey's so lucky. I hope one day I'll have a Martin Fowler of my own. It's a bit creepy, Ruby.
Or do you reckon she's got intentions for Martin? Oh,
I don't know what they're doing. I hope not. No. But I'm just not enjoying Ruby. I'm sorry. I feel bad saying it because of the storyline. So I kind of feel like you're not allowed to say that.
Last week it was done really, really well. But this week I feel like they're tying us up in knots. I just think
the thing she did with Billy was, I don't know, it just made you feel like, I just don't. We didn't need that. We know that she's suffering. We know that she's feeling bad about herself because of what was posted online. Didn't need her to then, because the way she was acting was just, I don't know. It wasn't needed, I don't think. And the fact that Billy kept saying no to her. Yeah. And it's like this whole thing is about consent, and then she's doing this to him, and Billy said no to her 3 times, and also had to phone someone for help to stop her.
Good guy Billy, though, for doing it.
I know, for the one time ever. Yeah, true. He has a conscience, but
But you're right about this whole story, as I was just babbling on about a minute ago, is about consent. She was told 3 times no by Billy. Yeah. And she didn't.
So it makes you think, maybe that's why they did it. Maybe it's meant to make you think, oh, well, she didn't take no for an answer.
So why should they?
So what? Not why should they, but maybe she did encourage both. Oh, right. You just don't, maybe that's why they did it, I guess.
We don't know what happened at the house. No. And I think that's going to be what basically is what the story is about, and something they're gonna drop in somehow that, oh yeah, and we drugged her or something like that, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, okay, Ruby was raped, and then that'll be the end of that.
Don't know, but that's enough about this storyline because it's
making me dizzy.
There's only so much you can keep
going
around in circles like they do.
I think Martin would rather have, instead of another drink at the pub bought by Ruby, I reckon he would rather have one of his 5 a day.
Yes.
It's time for your 5 a day.
Ooh.
No, none of these supplements. I want the full real deal. I want you to...
One Tic Tac.
Fill yourself up. As long as it's a lemon and lime Tic Tac, I'm happy for you to make that one of your 5 a day. Anyway, you ready to play?
Yes.
Just remind anyone who's...
Yummy.
Just to remind anyone who's new to the show, Martin Fowler's 5 a day is played as followed. I'm going to give Ben a question, which has lots and lots of different answers. Ben just has to give me 5 in 30 seconds.
If you're new to the show, you're going to know that I'm going to smash it. Smash the pumpkin.
If you want to listen back to some old shows, then you might learn that that's a lie. So here's this week's question. After Martin Fowler's school reunion last week, it was settling to know that despite a complete face change, no one seemed to care and embraced him as part of their crowd like the good old days at Walford Comprehensive, later Walford High. But Martin isn't the only current resident of Walford who has had a face change. In 30 seconds, can you name 5 current characters of EastEnders who at the time of this recording have been played by 2 or more actors or actresses? This includes the main cast, the supporting cast, and any recurring characters as long as they are still contracted on the soap. Martin Fowler was an example, so you cannot use him as one of your answers. So you can't say Martin Fowler, okay? Got it?
Yep.
Okay, so 30 seconds to name 5 current characters of EastEnders who at the time of this recording have been played by 2 or more actors, starting from now.
Ricky
Mitchell, played by Frankie Day now, but also played by Henry Childs.
Louise
Mitchell was played by Tilly Cooper.
Bex.
Yep, Rebecca Fowler, played by
all the children.
Jasmine Armfield. They're mainly children.
The Taylor dog. But I don't know his name.
Bronson the dog.
Bronson.
I'm super impressed. Yes, Bronson the dog is played by Sirius. You've got one more to get in 5 seconds.
Who else is that child?
2.
Baby Hope.
1.
Arthur. I don't know. Who else is a child? Baby Abby.
No, Baby Abby. Wow, as of recording, as I say, it's being played by the same uncredited child.
It's hard thinking of current cast. Michelle. She's still there in my heart.
No, she's not there anymore, love. So here are the answers. So you got Bronson the dog, who's played by Cyrus now, but before was uncredited. Lily Branning is played by Annie Garvey, and she was uncredited, so she's had 2 carnations. Ollie Carter is played by Harry Farr.
I don't count Ollie as a character.
But was played by Charlie Harrington and Jack Tilley. Rebecca Fowler is played by Jasmine Armfield, but before was played by Jade Sheriff and Alex and Vicky Gonzalez. Louise Mitchell is played by Tilly Cooper, but prior was played by Brittany Papple, Danny Benatar and Rachel Cox. Will Mitchell.
Yeah, of course, Will.
Billy and Honeyson.
I thought he'd always been the same.
No, he's played by Toby Walpole, but he's now played by Freddie Phillips. Amy Mitchell. Amy. These are the 2 obvious ones.
I didn't think Amy. I thought Amy had been a long-standing character.
Amy's been played by... Well, she's played by Abby Burke now, but she's played by 3 other characters. Not characters, actors.
Abby Burke's the best child actor on the show.
She's just remarkable. Every time she comes into the room, it just fills it with talent.
I haven't seen Kim's daughter in ages. I love her.
Pearl.
Yeah, Pearl. She's a good little actress. She's not been on it in ages.
She is. She always kind of points out into the...
Maybe she's been recast. Hope not. When she comes in it next.
But when Kim finally has her second baby, they'll have a whole
They're going to
actress.
introduce a new Pearl, aren't they?
Oh, I hope not. Ricky Mitchell.
Yeah, that's recent.
Yeah, because that was done really quietly. He went off to play football, came back a whole new kid.
Late for his haircut.
Frankie Day plays him now. Before that was Henry Childs. And Dennis Rickman.
Oh, yeah, of course, because he had a haircut as well.
He did. His hair suddenly shrunk into his head one night.
Dennis upstairs having a haircut. And then he came down and he had a shaved head and a new actor.
Yeah, played by Blue Landau.
It's really hard trying to remember who has kids because no one looks after kids.
They're all mainly children. You should always think children.
I know, that's what I was. I just couldn't think of any.
I wouldn't say that out loud. All I do is think about children.
No, just during 5 a day.
Right, there you go. So, how did you guys get on at home? Hope you did. Well, Ben did well this week, actually.
Yeah.
Almost did it. Always, never quite does it, but did a much better effort this week. And that was Martin Fowler's 5 a day. Oh, so close.
Get so far.
Sheanu time.
It is. A couple that are well on it. They're still going.
Well, they are still going until the middle of the week, and then they stop,
are.
and then they start again, and then it all goes to pot. Keanu is showing off his taxi business cards to Sharon, and Sharon's very impressed by the quality. He's obviously gone to, and this is the second reference this podcast, Vistaprint, and got the highest quality paper stock, and possibly the glossy one as well, or matte. I don't know what's better. What do you prefer, matte or glossy?
Matte.
Yeah,
more
same.
Professional.
But it's always the cheaper one, which always surprises me.
She hopes that he hasn't left his meter running.
Yes.
When he's coming downstairs. Another reason for him to be topless.
I mean, it's just a reason for them to get back into bed. And after they've had their session upstairs, let's just call it that, Keanu goes and starts his job as a taxi driver. Sharon goes into the lounge wearing her black lingerie nightwear, bites her finger, thinking about what just happened.
She wants to go again. And we're getting some text messages through this week.
Yes.
From an unknown number.
So the first one says, I know what you are up to.
You are.
Well,
Is
that a
needs
clue?
to be noted. Yes, I think so.
I must say, this is the first and only time that the text messages are... It's the first and only time the text messages are using kind of like text slang. The rest of the time it's written in proper English.
Yeah.
Do you think that perhaps there's more than one person blackmailing?
Oh, like Scream?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
But the reason I say this is because what if it's Dennis and Louise? We're all saying, oh, it's Louise. You just said it earlier in the podcast, Louise did it. But what if it's Dennis and Louise?
No, I don't think
together?
Dennis.
I mean, we know Dennis has got a pinnacle part of the Stewart shooting we've yet to learn.
Yeah, Dennis isn't going to have 2 storylines. That's too much.
He's maybe learned from the Master, which is Stewart.
What if it's Michelle?
But he's maybe learned from the Master, which is Stewart.
No.
And it's not Michelle. Stop saying everything's Michelle.
Could be Michelle.
It's not Michelle.
Michelle will be like, well, you had a go at me for this, so I'm going to get you back.
No, they left on good terms. They left... How did she get her mobile phone in the cafe?
Could be a cafe in America. No, it
that looks exactly like Kathy's.
Oh, yeah. Because it is Kathy's cafe because it's the same cover. No, it's Louise. I'm sorry. It's Louise. It's from one number.
Yes, but 2 people can own the same... It's obviously a burner, as Hunter likes to call them. Sharon is at the office. Mel's surprised to see her working on a Monday.
We all are.
On a Monday, yeah. But Sharon's also surprised to see Mel. So there's no work get done in that place.
Billy.
And yeah, it is Billy. To be fair to Billy, he does seem to be the only one who's there most of the time. And Mel mentions that Hunter broke his phone at the weekend. She won't buy him a brand new one. So that's Hunter straight away crossed off the list.
Is it Woody? Is he doing more blackmailing and stealing?
Wood.
Maybe it's Woody.
Nah, it's not Woody.
He's busy on Strictly. Busy dancing.
He's not busy on Strictly.
Oh, yeah, well, maybe it is him.
He got knocked out.
He wants his some more cash.
Maybe. So, yeah, they get another text message, as you say, saying, nice chat in the car. And Sharon tries to call this number. They don't answer, so she's a bit frustrated. She's like, oh, for goodness sake. Then an audio clip gets sent to her. And what's the audio clip of? Oh, do you do this for all your punters? Oh, yeah. Come on, let me show you my gear stick. So, oh, goodness me.
I want to hear that whole recording. I want them to release it as an MP3.
I tell you what, anyone who's listening, if you're a dab hand at like mixing music, if you can get the audio sample of Sharon and Keanu having sex in the car, because you can have the full sample from a week or so ago and mix it into a song, we promise we will play it on the podcast for you, mention you by name. We will play it and we'll give you complete kudos and send it to us at Eastenders Week or eastendersweekly@gmail.com. Anyone who's into music who can do that, please feel free to send us your sample.
With her cackle.
With her cackle.
Featuring a lot.
Yeah, and the lines that they say, like the ones that Keanu says and Sharon.
So she gets that sent to her, so she's now quite worried. And there's like a really fun scene the next day where they're trying to work out like who it could be, and they're like looking out a window over the square.
I mean,
and like all the characters like pop around.
Yeah. This was literally a summing up of maybe the last 2-3 years of EastEnders.
Of Sharon's history.
It was fantastic. So yeah, they start the detective work. They're twitching the net curtain window. So they start with Rainey, because Rainey got Phil hooked on crack while he was with Shirley. But Shirley...
Why would Shirley do it, Keanu asked?
Well, Shirley used to hate Sharon, and he shot...
She shot Phil
on the wedding day.
Yeah, that happened.
Keanu actually asks Sharon, does Shirley still fancy Phil then? And Sharon doesn't answer.
No.
So...
Goody two Sonia. What about her?
Well, Sonia pushed Sharon into a pool of water.
We all remember that.
We do. That was at the...
wasn't it Pearl's birthday, actually, wasn't it? That Kim, bought all those things for Pearl's birthday,
maybe,
wasn't it? That's what it was.
Yeah, but anyway, so Sharon got quite wet these past 2 years. She's had cream thrown on her, and she's been thrown into water.
Keanu's made her.
Yes,
I won't finish that sentence.
Keanu certainly has.
Who else? Jean, the Slaters?
No, it's Mo. Mo, they said. Mo records people.
Yeah. So, Jack told Sharon all about that.
Yeah, so Mo could have recorded, hence why they had the recording, so it could have been Mo. Not Jay, though.
His family.
Jay's family. He would never do anything like that. I think that's pretty much them all.
That was it. And then she said something weird about Mel, how Mel still hasn't forgiven her. ...
Yeah, and then again, didn't finish the sentence. And it's all I can think of, because we talked about this, and all we could think of was that Easter meal. Was that Easter meal
Where she said a few words, maybe.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago, and they seem to have built the bridge since.
Yeah, they're a bit frosty, but Mel's frosty anyway. Yeah, I'm not sure what it could be. Or it could be how Hunter and Louise did that camera thing. Not sure.
Maybe. But then that would be more of an issue with Phil, wouldn't it?
Very weird. So yeah, that was a fun scene, recapping everyone and mentioning things.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy that. The other text she got through was, you stop seeing Keanu, or I tell Phil.
Yeah, so this kind of indicated that.
Phil spelt with a not a capital P as well. Just in case we're looking into it.
Like a child would write. A Dennis, maybe. I mean, so this would indicate that perhaps... Maybe it's... Well, obviously it's someone they know, but maybe it's a family member, because they also...
because they're not asking for money.
Yeah.
So they're not blackmailing them, they just want them to stop.
And then really it just kind of ends at this point.
Yeah, Sharon says to Keanu, well, maybe we should stop it here then. So that's why Keanu's upset with Hayley later on.
Yeah, well, that's when Keanu puts his cape on, which is what Hayley
and
says.
Louise invites Sharon, because she sees Sharon is a bit upset and drinking early. Which
again isn't very unusual for Sharon.
I thought that. It's Louise, that's normal. And she says, come on then, we're going out. And they go to Robbie's party.
Because Louise thinks that she's missing Phil.
Or does she?
Well, yes, is it just a...
Because Louise and Bex are out with Sharon, and Sharon's looking over at Keanu all the time in the Vic. And she goes, oh, you're missing him, aren't you? To Sharon. And it's is that a little clue to who's she talking about? Phil, Keanu.
Oh, yeah, I never thought of that.
And she goes, oh, if you're not having fun, go home. And she tells her to go home, and then Sharon gets a text saying, I know Keanu's with you.
Well, yes, you're jumping forward again.
I know, but it all adds... It's kind of like she's pushing Sharon into the house to see if Keanu follows
again. Because, Keanu had left the pub at this point, and Keanu had also, because Sharon felt a bit self-conscious that she kind of was a bit too dressed up for this lame party that was happening in the Vic. And
even though she's wearing what she always wears.
She always wears, but she said, I feel like...
mutton dressed as lamb.
Mutton dressed as lamb. And Keanu goes over to her and says, you're beautiful, by the way. And again, I love her reactions to things. She kind of her smile kind of just jumps out of her face.
No one said that.
Yeah. No,
Phil would never say that.
Phil wouldn't. He'd just slap her on the bum and tell her to run away. Louise is staying at Bex's house.
Do you think Bex could be involved? Do you think Louise has told Bex about it? Because they're both sat there looking at Sharon together.
No, I don't think Bex would be involved. I think this isn't Bex's cup of tea, is it? Bex
that's true. She's goody.
I know I always watch people who drink. How they drink. And I know it's becoming a bit of an epidemic on this podcast.
Right.
Obviously, we started with Ruby. I take exception to Bex drinking of her Coke throughout the scenes.
Oh, I haven't even seen it. What does she do?
Well, it's what she doesn't do more than anything. This full glass of drink, she puts it up to her lips, barely touches them, then puts it back down again, and then starts going... As if she just had a great big gulp. No.
She's acting.
Fine, act if you can't see what's actually inside the container that they're drinking from. But I can see she's
sick of it. She has to keep doing it over and over and over again.
Well, Coca-Cola?
Yeah, it's gross. She might be diabetic.
Might be, what's it called? Zero. Might be Coke Zero. Anyway, so it's the stuff I see sometimes and it just infuriates me. I don't know why. The little things. So Keanu goes to visit Sharon back at her house.
Just like Louise planned.
Yeah, she's basically on bottle number 2 of her bottles
plus
of wine.
2 gins.
Plus 2 gins at the pub. She's on normal level for Sharon drunkenness. That's normal level.
Yes.
And they're just about to get dirty.
I know, they just can't stop, can they?
They really can't. They're like rabbits. And doop doop, the phone goes off. and it says,
"Don't say I didn't warn you."
Yeah, I see you. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Yeah.
Now, with that, if I knew someone was looking at me, wouldn't you just quickly go outside and see who it was?
Yeah,
surely
but they'll
you see someone
hide.
scurrying. But you can't hide far, because Phil's house is like where the bottle bins are, so it's like on a kind of corner, so you can
They can still hide. Or are they in the house? Or is there a camera? Are they bugged? No, they're not bugged. They search the house. But yeah, so and then Phil starts calling.
Yes.
Like straight away.
Yes, and then Sharon goes, he knows.
We're dead.
And then that's how it ends.
Yeah.
With their story anyway, it's not how the
Well, they
episode
kind
ends.
of ruined it. Well, not ruined it, but then like after that, they showed a trailer for next week and Keanu was doing taxi lifts. So obviously Keanu's okay.
Well, yeah, because Phil's in Spain at the moment.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
Phil...
takes 2 hours to get back.
Yeah, but you didn't see Sharon. Maybe Phil has told Sharon to come to Spain. I want to have a word with you.
No, I think it will be that he'll phone and he's just phoning like,
Of course it will.
Yeah, like,
how are things? What's the weather like?
I've seen a nice house
Yeah.
or something.
Is it sunny where you are? It's quite hot where I am.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going by the theory that it's Louise because she's sort of inviting her out for the Vic and she's in the house a lot. And I don't think Denny's clever enough.
No. Well, I mean, again, it's almost like we planned it because this leads quite nicely to our poll of the week, where we were asking our Twitter followers, or anyone who just kind of stumbled upon us, what they thought, who was blackmailing Sheanu.
Right.
And the options were Louise, Big Mo, Chatham and Riley, or Shrimpy. And the one that you've gone for, basically far away, won the prize. Everyone, or most people, thought Louise at 71%. Then Big Mo and Shrimpy at 11%.
Because Shrimpy was looking into the car when they were talking.
Well, that's what you said, wasn't it?
And he was on his phone.
But so did Robbie. Lots of people
Robbie.
were...
Not Robbie.
But they were in the middle of the market. Lots of people walking back and forth through the market. Could be anyone.
Okay.
Could be
It's not
Dennis.
Robbie.
Could be Dennis. Or Chatham and Riley at 7%. Chatham and Riley was obviously the least popular. Obviously, we asked people to comment, which you guys did. At Andy Gibson said, "Obvs, it's Louise. The trailer points to her."
Mm-hmm.
At EE Sprite says, "The person has a personal connection to keeping the Mitchell marriage together. Not Denny, because the phone would have flashed up Mum, not Sharon. I am saying Louise or Billy." That's a good point.
Oh,
Never
yeah.
thought of that.
What they saved the name as. So they saved her as Sharon on their phone. So.
Or Billy, though. Billy was thrown out there for a bit of fun. Well, they've not asked for money, haven't they? I'm just saying, who needs money? But they've not asked for money, have they? And so apparently also someone got in touch with us and said that the Metro newspaper, the London newspaper, had put out the prediction that it was Grant Mitchell and that Grant was returning to the square.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be... They showed the phone in the cafe, didn't they?
He might be there. He's just hiding out.
Well, no one would know. No one would see him. Tina or Kathy.
He might just...
Kathy would be working.
Well, no, Kathy would know him, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah. But Kathy hasn't worked in the cafe for...
I miss
God knows how long.
Kathy.
So do I. She needs a story.
I keep saying this every week. I miss Kathy. Wait, please let me talk about Kathy.
I mean, quickly talking about the trailer.
Oh, I thought we were going to say quickly talking about Kathy.
No. Well,
Yes, some news.
No, Kathy wasn't in the trailer.
Oh.
So I suppose for Halloween week, we can't really expect Kathy to come in. However, the trailer did show a few things. Obviously, I think Hayley's going to end up having the baby on her own.
Yes.
Well, it looked like an abandoned house.
I know. It was like graffiti everywhere.
Yeah.
Unless someone's really decorated somewhere really good for Halloween.
Well, I'm hoping that they haven't, like... Well, yeah, true.
Or she'll be in that flat, maybe. Her home.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
It's going to be the flat. But then she's got candles. So they've made it look really kind of spooky as well, haven't they?
Oh, who knows?
It's nice to have a baby born on like a
I
day.
do enjoy Halloween week on EastEnders though, because they didn't do a special one last year.
No. It's a nice theme, isn't it, Halloween?
I like it. It's fun.
Yeah. But it'd be nice for them to have the baby born on a day other than Christmas Day or New Year's Day.
Yeah. It suits Hayley to have a baby born on Halloween.
Yeah, it does,
Suits her
doesn't
spooky
it?
look.
Do you reckon the baby will come out with his arms crossed and like fangs and fucking...
She'll call the baby Wednesday.
That'd be amazing.
Wednesday Slater. That'd be good.
The only day EastEnders isn't on. And yeah, but the trailer looks pretty good, and we're presuming that Kat's going to find out.
I hope so. I
Halloween.
hope it's at Halloween, not at Christmas.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Because we know that Shane Ritchie is coming back as well at the end of the year too.
I hope it's not permanent.
They've not really said the length of the contract, have
I hope
they?
it's not.
No, but we'll still see. So I think that wraps everything up.
It does.
Just a couple of housework things to do, just to remind everyone that you can find us on Twitter at EastEnders Week, find us on Instagram at EastEnders Weekly Podcast. We're on Facebook as a group and a page. Follow us, say hello, like us. Just search EastEnders Weekly Podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify,
Everywhere.
everywhere you
We're everywhere.
find a
Like a
podcast.
65-year-old plus. STI.
You can also message us on email, which is eastendersweekly@gmail.com. And don't forget that we have a merch store. Look for some presents for Christmas time. You can find us at shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/EastEnders Weekly Podcast. What are you doing over there?
I'm just having a bit of that tea, maybe. Oh, it's a bit spicy.
I'll put the kettle on.